Hello everyone and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Studio Series number 29, Sideswipe. Now this is obviously in the deluxe size class, as you can see right down here. Nice picture of Sideswipe on the side. He looks a little tiny in the packaging. I really do feel like the deluxes are just steadily shrinking, but they're doing it gradually so we don't really notice, but I notice it, Hasbro. I'm on to you. Nice picture of the character in robot mode here on the side. Nothing going on the bottom or the top, really. Turning around to the back. Has the kind of standard big screen inspired, spiel that they have on the back of all these. And then it just says, Dreads Standoff. I don't really know what that means. I don't know. I don't know. Like the vehicle mode, robot mode looks pretty cool. Sideswipe backs up Ironhide in a head-to-head against the Dreads. Oh, Dreads Standoff must be like the name of the encounter. Okay, if you say so. Down here, you can see that there's the World War II Bumblebee, the Clunker Bumblebee, which is like the Camaro. They repainted it to be a little bit more battle damaged. And then you have Barricade over here. And of course, backdrop is included. We'll take a look at that as well. Let's go ahead and get the backdrop and Sideswipe out of the packaging, and we'll take a closer look. So here he is standing in the backdrop. You can see he takes up quite a bit of the space, but we'll remove him just for a second so you can actually see the backdrop. Just kind of stand him right there. It's kind of a war-torn city street. You have some smashed up cars, big cloud of smoke. So, pretty cool though. I like that they include these little backdrops. I definitely don't have the space to display them all, but if I do one day have the space, I'll definitely get them back out. Because I do think they're kind of cool. They make like little stages for the figures, and they definitely look neat having the backdrops behind them. Here's Sideswipe out of the packaging, taking a closer look. He does come with two accessories. He's got these two swords, which become like the sides of the car in the alt mode. And then he's got these two guns. Now these guns do have like large pegs on them so they can fit into his hands. So you can do something like that. They also have pegs on the side right there, which would peg into the side of his hands. So if we take this one out, and you can peg this into the side of his hand, really whichever you prefer. The side of the hand thing is really more for when you're transforming it into his alt mode, but you can do it if you want to give him like super double gun hand. It looks ridiculous. Also hashtag super double gun hand. But anyway, then the sides are on the fists are also meant to plug these swords in. So you can give him the double sword arms like he had in the movie. I think he was in Revenge of the Fallen, right? It's been a while since I've seen those. But he does look cool. He's got the large bladed hands, so he can cause some trouble. Go ahead and put all of that off to the side for the moment so we can take a look at the figure. Very much silver. That is his primary color scheme. It looks good though. He's got a little bit of a darker silver and then some gunmetal gray, mostly in like the hands and the knees. Taking a close-up look at his face sculpt. I think it looks pretty good. The nice light blue eyes. Otherwise, again, you have kind of just a darker silver on a lighter silver. So nothing really pops. And the light blue is kind of light in the fact that it doesn't really pop against the silver either. I mean, obviously he had blue eyes in the movie, so there's not really much they can do about that. But if this guy was like a Decepticon or something, I feel like red eyes would really pop against these colors. But the head's on a ball joint, so you can move that all around. You have a ball joint here in the shoulder. The bicep swivel is a little tight. The more I've played with it, it's loosened up a little bit, but there is a bicep swivel there. 90 degrees in the elbow. The hands don't really do anything because they swivel into the forearm for the transformation. You do have a waist swivel. You have a ball joint in the hip. Again, the thigh swivels are very tight, but they've loosened a little bit over time. You have not quite 90 degrees in the knee, but he's got kind of a weird double knee joint here where he's got this and this. So he can kind of go back, come forward like a crazy alien foot. But you kind of need that just because his feet are weird. I know, I believe he had an option where you could kind of swivel these around. Because he in the movie, I'm pretty sure he would skate around on the wheels in his feet. You can't really do that with this. You kind of just swing these pieces around to form like the heels and the front of the foot, and then if you need to, you can kind of push this part down. But he doesn't stand amazingly, so it's just a little weird. You kind of just have to get a pose that works. Let me tilt this so I can show you what I'm talking about. Just kind of distribute the weight with the weird knee system. I kind of like to go out a little bit and then back, and then you just kind of balance it and push those down until you get something that works. And I mean, it's not going to crazy fall over, but it's not the most stable of feet / toe heel situations. Plus, I feel like that was a big deal in the movie where he had the crazy roll around, like rollerblade ability, for lack of a better term. And I've been trying to figure out a way to do it on this, and I'm not really figuring it out. So if somebody knows, feel free to let me know in the comments. But he mostly just kind of stands. And I mean, he can stand, don't get me wrong. It just looks a little awkward, in my opinion. But not a huge problem. His shoulder pad things here also have a little bit of movement, because there's like a ball joint where they connect in the shoulder. So if you want to angle them up a little bit or down, whatever your cup of tea. Also kind of the same thing with these pieces on the back. If you want to kind of have them down like that, if you want to go like full like prowl wings or something and have them out to the side, you can do that. They have a movement here on the back piece, so that can move there like that. It's really your choice, whatever you like. I kind of just like to have them hang like this. You can see he's got a little bit of kibble, but I feel like it compacts fairly decently onto his back. And it probably goes even a little bit tighter, and I'm just being bad at it right now. No, I guess that's pretty much the gist of it. But yeah, I mean, overall, I like the robot mode. I just think the feet are a little wonky, but I think that's his design. I think there's not really much they could have done about that. That's just kind of what he looked like in the movie. But I do like his accessories. Also, on the back, they have these little connectors here where you can store the guns if you do not want to have them deployed. You can see they just kind of connect there on the back. You can do that one on each side. I don't think there's anywhere to store the sword when he's not using it, though. But I think the swords are the coolest anyway. Just go ahead and plug that back into the hand. I always thought his like arm blades were the coolest part of him. He just kind of rollerblade around with his arm blades, like slashing everything. And I thought that was the coolest part of this character. But yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll get into his transformation. So I've removed all his accessories and put them over here off to the side to start. We'll bring them back in a little bit later. You can go ahead and just start by rotating those hands into the forearms. Very common trick for Transformers. You're going to kind of start by deconstructing the backpack here. So you're going to kind of bring this down, kind of float that back there. This will kind of unaccordion, and so it'll kind of lift up to there. You're going to spin it around. You're going to flip out this little panel, and then you're going to spin this around now that you have some space to do so, and that's just kind of hang back here for a minute. At this point, right here in the abdomen kind of lifts up and clears the head, and then kind of comes up here to meet this other back part of the car, and then you have to bring this up. This will fold around. So basically this is going to go in between these pieces. And it's I don't want to say it's tricky, but it just sometimes it takes some finagling to get everything out of the way. And just kind of make sure this all lines up. There you go. And so there you can see that is the back end of the car. You want to get the arms out of the way. These will rotate around and become the doors of the car, as I'm sure you all already expected. Bring this down. And again, it's just kind of like making sure things clear. Okay, so at this point, you have the arms. Now you can see where the shoulders were, right here. You're going to kind of bring these all the way down towards the abdomen, because then we're going to fold them up. But first, we're going to take those guns and we're going to peg them into the sides of the fists, and then we're going to just kind of rotate these up. Now, unfortunately, these don't really peg in. I was kind of hoping they would have just a little peg like right here, and then maybe it could peg into the underside or something, but they don't really. So they just kind of come up here and sit. And there'll be something that kind of pegs them in a little bit later on. We'll get to that. But yeah, for now, they just kind of sit there. So we're going to lift this up, peg in the gun, and then again, make sure that this is already kind of lined up, which it's not. There we go. And then this kind of sits in here. So we can fiddle with this a little bit more as we go, but that's the basic back end of the car. All right, so coming down to the legs, you're going to fold this piece back up like that. Then you're going to fold this. This will kind of come around and form the front of the car, and then the whole thing will fold in like that. And when you do that, you'll see that there's a tab here and a tab here, and then there is a tab right there and there. So you kind of want to bring these up and then tab that all in. And that'll kind of give the car some stability in the front there. So come around again, flip this little piece on the side. There you go. Fold that, swivel these around, and then fold the whole thing. Do that. Come around and peg this in. And it's a lot of just kind of lining everything up. This guy is a lot of making sure everything lines up. Now, here is most of the car, but you'll notice there's some giant holes on the side. That is where our sword pieces come in. And this is a little tricky. So you can see here that there's two pegs right there, and there's two kind of little slots right there. That's for this and this. Now, at the same time, this little nubbin right here is going to peg into the arm slot on the shoulder, or on the slot on the arm shoulder. And this here is going to peg into, I believe it's this one here. So you kind of have to, like, make sure that all lines up. So that pegs in, and then also pegs into the sides up here and here. And it takes a little doing, but when you're done, it actually looks pretty good. And it actually holds it together pretty well, which is very surprising to me, but it does work. So again, we're going to take this, we're going to kind of make sure that pegs in, and then everything up here clicks. And then there you go. Now, if you want to come back to this, by this point, these will kind of stay in place because it has these keeping them in place. But you can see that the guns now form like exhaust pipes, which is pretty cool. So there is the car. I really love the design of the car in vehicle mode. I think it really works. I think the fact that it's like a convertible just really looks neat. It's something new and different that I feel like Transformer toys don't really do very often. You can kind of see like his crotch on the top of the thighs there, which is kind of hilarious, but it doesn't really bother me. You have a steering wheel molded in. I think that looks pretty good. Like I said, back of the car looks good. I think the guns as the tailpipes look good. The front of the car looks good. Very sharp. And just all around, I think they did a good job. It's a kind of weird transformation, and the transformation is a little clunky in my opinion, but it gets there. It's just a lot of making sure you can move pieces past other pieces without snapping anything off. But once you do it a couple times, it gets easier, you get the hang of it, and I think it works. And I really do like the look of this little car. Now, it's pretty tiny, I will say that. I don't, unfortunately, really have anything to compare it to. But it's small. Like, I'm trying to think what is, well, here, I have a Lego minifigure just for size comparison. So, I mean, that's kind of tiny, like, for a deluxe, anyway, in my opinion. But I don't think that takes away from the fact that it's a good little car. It rolls fairly decently. For some reason, I probably just don't have them lined up. The back tires roll great. The front tires don't really roll amazingly, and I kind of think it's just because they're not touching the ground. So you have this piece here that was on the inside of the legs, the feet, I should say, and that's kind of keeping it off the ground almost so that the front tires aren't touching. But the back tires roll great. But yeah, overall, I think it's a cool little car design. I think Sideswipe is a fun figure. He's definitely tiny, but I think unfortunately that's becoming par for the course for these Hasbro Deluxes. They're just kind of shrinking them. At least I noticed it the most with the Studio Series. Maybe not so much with their other lines, but with the Studio Series for sure. But I still think it's a nicely detailed figure, good articulation. I did think it was a little weird that both the bicep and the thigh swivels were very tight at first, but I think if you just kind of work them a little bit, they kind of loosen up over time, so just be wary of that. I love the accessories he comes with. He has the 2 cannons, he has the 2 swords. I think they look really great when equipped. Like the head sculpt transformation, like I said, it's a little clunky, but I think over time, once you get used to it, you'll get it down pat. You won't really have any problems with it. I love the alt mode. I think the car looks really, really cool. And using those swords to kind of hold the legs and the arms and everything together when you're plugging them in as the sides of the car worked way better than I expected. So kudos to Hasbro for that, because they really did a well job of using those to kind of peg everything into itself and keep it contained. So the car mode, in my opinion, actually holds together pretty well. Like I said, legs are a little weird, but I think that's really more of Sideswipe's movie design, not really the toy itself. The toy is just being faithful to the character design from the movie, so not really anything they could do about that. It would have been nice if there was a way to kind of tuck these pieces up on the side so that he could have his kind of rollerblade mode. And I said maybe there is and I'm missing it, but I kind of fiddled with it for a little bit and couldn't figure it out, so I don't think it's possible. But overall, if you are a fan of Sideswipe from the movies, I think this is a nice figure. I never bought... actually, that's not true. Maybe I did buy a Sideswipe figure back from Revenge of the Fallen, but it's been such a long time that I really don't remember it. But in any case, if you're looking for a Sideswipe figure, I think this one's pretty fun, and I think you will be happy with it. You'll be pleased. You know, it's a good figure. Just pick it up if you'd like. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, guys, thank you so much for watching.